I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati.
Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome all. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, and Twitter. I want to say hello to people in the chat. What's going on? Miguel says peace. Peace to you too. Greetings, Car. He's saying hi to Miguel. Well, all right. Greetings, Troy C. Always great to see you. Oh, goody, front row seat. Shout out to whatever man, Marianne Schools Yang on how to grift. Oh, whatever, man. Oh, man. Greetings, Muhammad Makdum. What defense of Bernie is Jordan spewing now? Oh, it's actually not even about that. Believe it or not. It's actually not even about that. Greetings, Justin says group at Troy C plus at whatever man. So he's giving them shout outs. What is up? Greetings, Gamer for Life. It's always great to see you. He says hello. Shout out to Oz in the house. I see you with your sunglasses. Greetings. Greetings, Ryan76 says, yo. Shout out to Lucky Burrito says namaste. Greetings, Arturo says hi. Hello to you too. What's going on? Kim says, hey people, hope you're all well. I hope so as well. Shout out to Eric, who's a Sabby member, says happy Friday to all lefty friends. We made it to the weekend, guys. We made it. Shout out to the Red Precarian. He has the music notes. What's going on? Carlos says doobie doobie doo to all of you, or doobie doobie doo to all of you. Greetings overnight says good vibes. What's going on, Lawrence? It's always great to see you, says doobie doobie doo. Shout out to Hannah, says Sabby with a smiley face. I'm smiling at you too. Shout out to Kyle, who's a Sabby member. I think that is a rooster. A rooster or a chicken. One of the other. Greetings, CBC voter, says doobie doobie doo. I like that. That's cute. And also, Panquake. Greetings, Cam says, hey, everyone. Shout out to Delthea Simmons, who's a Sabby member, says, hello, everybody. From ice-covered NC, warm greetings. Oh, so I take it you guys got ice storm in North Carolina. Did they close all the schools, Delthea? When I used to live there, I went to high school there. When I used to live there, they used to do that. Like maybe barely an inch of like ice or snow on the ground and everything would close. All right, what's going on? Derek says, it's Friday. I'm done with my job. It's time to get high. Doobie doobie doo time. Shout out to Derek. What is up, guys? Greetings to Greg, who's a Sabby member, says, hey, Sabby. Hey, lefty friends. Shout out to Ja'Cory Arthur, says, peace, Sabby. Peace to you as well. Greetings, see the change. Sabby comrades. Hello, all. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? The song's going to get stuck in your head now. Greetings, Corey Leith, says, Sabs, what do you have to drink? I am drinking Cloud Candy. It is Friday. I am having a beer tonight. Cloud Candy. This is a double dry hopped New England IPA, and it's by Mighty Squirrel. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. Greetings, Alexander says, MW ain't no grifter. Oh, Marianne Williamson ain't no grifter. Cools. Lots of people in the chat. Phenomenal Mysticism says, I agree. Both Marianne Williamson and Andrew Yang are fakes. Oh, man. You guys are brutal tonight. Brutal. Greetings, 1916. Happy Saturday from Australia. Oh, you're already there. Already there. Greetings, Jenna Colby says, Sabby Sabs. What's going on, Jenna? Shout out to Les says, happy Friday, Sabby. Happy Friday to you too as well. Workers control the production. Peace. Shout out to Plain Breaker. Breaker. I don't know what's going on tonight. Simply Sap. Shout out. All right. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? So, welcome to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new, I want to let you know that Sabby Sabs podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursday for the Roundtable and Friday for the Sabby Show. Catch me here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. What are we talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen? This should be a pretty fun stream. It's Friday for one. And two, the topics that we're talking about tonight. So tonight we're talking about Briahna Joy Gray talks suppression. So Jordan Sheraton was on Bad Faith Podcast. One of the things they talked about was YouTube suppression. And I have a lot to say about that. And I'm going to show you guys something tonight that I have never shown anyone on this show. I'm going to take you into my YouTube analytics. It's scary in there. It's scary. So hold on to your seats. We're going to talk about Marianne Williamson's schools, Andrew Yang. What was that about? She was on his podcast recently talking about Bernie Sanders and third parties. And there were some things said that I think everybody needs to hear. And we are going to talk about Jamal Bowman arrested. What happened? Why was he arrested? And why should we be concerned? So I'm actually going to get started with that Jamal Bowman story. For those of you who have not had a chance to hear, Jamal Bowman was indeed arrested. Now, at first, I thought this was probably a rumor. It was not. I'm going to share my screen here, share this article. Now, this is from the Riverdale Press. Bowman won't challenge arrest, but doesn't regret it either. Damn, Jamal. He's going in. He's going in. So, what happened? Jamal Bowman stood on the steps of the U.S. Senate on Wednesday, calling for his upper chamber colleagues to pass a bill he and Democrats say will protect voting rights. Here we go. Especially among people of color across the country. He held up a stack of papers describing them as 33 bills passed in 19 states since the 2020 election that would restrict voting rights. The Senate could fix all of that with just a simple vote approving the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, named after late congressman and civil rights activists. Democrats and other advocates say will restore key parts of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Make this a little bit larger, actually. I like that better. There is a battle for the ballot box, and we can't watch it from the sidelines, Bowman later shared on social media. Organizers did their jobs. Now it's time for the Senate to do its job. But the Senate didn't do its job. Without the support of Republicans and a pair of swing Democrats, I like how they call them a pair, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act failed on the chamber floor. I figured that would. I told you guys this voting rights bill is not really what you think it is. I'm going to get into that in a second. Bowman, sworn in as part of the 117th U.S. Congress last year, was dejected, and understandably so. But when he arrived at the U.S. Capitol building Thursday morning, he was very happy to see the group of young people he stood with for hours the night before were still there. Now, let's all remember, these are the same Capitol steps that Jackson Hinkle and Paula Jean Swearengin also protested on. And you guys remember they were arrested. They're the same steps that AOC and Cori Bush and the rest of the squad stood on when they were protesting the eviction moratorium. I'm going to get into all that in just a second. But this time they had company. The U.S. Capitol Police. Oh, imagine that, guys. Imagine that. These are protesters who have been on a hunger strike for several weeks, multiple hunger strikes, demonstrating in their communities, trying to push to get voting rights passed, Bowman told the Riverdale Press on Thursday evening. So they came down here to apply that same pressure. I wanted to be out there with them today as well. But by the time I got there, about 20 of them had already been arrested for, I guess, being in an area they weren't supposed to be. The congressman wanted to find out what was going on, but to do that, he had to go where even members of Congress aren't allowed to be. I went underneath the police tape to go to shake their hands and thank them for being there. And then the cop came over and told me I was under arrest. He grabbed my arm, made me put my hand behind my back, and started to put the handcuffs on. And there's the picture there of him being arrested. Bowman is hardly the first congressman arrested by police. In fact, he joins a growing list of congressional members, nearly all, if not all, congressional members of color who have been arrested by Capitol Police since last summer. They include Ohio Democrat Joyce Beatty, arrested outside the Senate building last July, while wearing a t-shirt demanding to protect our voting rights. Within days, 2 more members of the Black Congressional Caucus would find themselves in cuffs. Georgia's Hank Johnson and Texas' Sheila Jackson Lee over voting rights. Bowman didn't expect to join them in that exclusive club on Thursday, but the congressman doesn't regret it. He was there to support members of the newly formed group known as UNPAC, which bills itself as the Political Action Committee designed to end political action committees. Its agenda is considered quite progressive, tackling many of the larger issues of today, like gun control, immigration, climate change, and healthcare. Let's talk. So, I see lots of comments in the chat. Lots of comments. Couple of things. So, let's talk about this voting rights bill. I've mentioned this before. I'll say this again if you are new. The voting rights bill is mainly to get people to vote for Democrats. That's what this bill is really about. This bill will make it very difficult for people to vote third party, which is, it's already not easy to do now anyway, because they're not on the ballot in every state, right? It will make it more difficult for people to vote for independent candidates as well. They're not telling you that part. And so when I tell people that the reason why they were trying to push this, especially Joe Biden going down to Georgia, trying to push this, is so that people can come back and vote for Joe Biden again and vote for Democrats, especially since he's doing terribly in the polls still. So Jamal Bowman saw this as a pressing issue. If you notice, he stood alone. The rest of the squad members were not with him. Funny how that happens. In the wrong place, wrong time, got arrested. Now, what's really interesting to me is that he was willing to fight for this, but wouldn't fight for Medicare for all. Wouldn't fight for, let me get to the police one in a minute. Wouldn't fight for the Iron Dome. Wouldn't fight for anything else. And let's go back to the bill that passed to increase funding to Capitol Police. Jamal Bowman voted present. So essentially, he was arrested by the same Capitol Police that he refused to vote against giving more funding. Funny how life works. Now, I think what's really frustrating to me about this is that where was this same passion and drive for Force the Vote? He said he doesn't feel bad about getting arrested. He said he'd do it again. You do all that, but you wouldn't vote against Nancy Pelosi to force the vote for Medicare for all? You wouldn't have been arrested for it. Where was the rest of the squad? Anybody know? Where was the crew? He was out there by himself. So it's interesting to me how like so many people are willing to rise up and really push this voting rights bill. And I will say this again, because someone's going to hear this and they're going to try to take it a different way. Do we have voting issues in this country? Absolutely. It's been a problem for a long time. Actually, since the beginning, we've always had voting issues in this country. But the bill itself is not what they're making it out to be. It is to get you to vote for Democrats. This bill is going to be detrimental to third parties. This is not going to make things easier for them. Now, they say they want people to be able to vote across the board. They want people to have those voting rights and to not have those restrictions and to not have voter suppression. But it's okay to have voter suppression for third parties. It's okay for third parties to not be able to be on the ballot in every state. That's okay. So if it was really about increasing voting rights generally across the board, they would have had something in that legislation that would also make it easier for people to vote for third parties. It is not only to vote for Democrats. I'm going to go to some of the comments in the chat. What's going on, Robin? Says, happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. Greg says, the bill sucks and cops are racist. Both are true. Truth. Lawrence Johnson says the corporate Dems would love to slip this bill through and handicap third-party runs even more. Exactly. They're not telling you that. And I think it's really important for people to note that when you hear about a new bill, and I know they're cumbersome to read, I know there's a lot of like lawyer language and sometimes it can be really confusing, but it's really helpful to know what exactly are in those bills. Because sometimes they'll mention the title of the bill, and that's one thing that's in the bill, but they won't tell you all the other items that are a part of that bill. Lawrence also says raises the party contribution cap from its current 5,000 to a whopping 100 million. See? They're not going to tell you that though. No way. Working Man says, F you, Bowman, you fake. Good photo op, though. Yeah, so it's not like they made it sound like when he got arrested, they made it sound like, oh, he's out there hardcore protesting and the cops took him down. But you just heard a statement. He was like, yeah, so basically I walked under the police tape and went to go shake their hands. Again, they can do this. He's willing to get arrested for this. He's willing to get arrested to get you to continue to vote for Democrats. But they can't even talk about Medicare for all anymore. They don't talk about it anymore. They couldn't say anything about the Medicare for all marches that happened in this country last summer. They can't come out for that. Only when it's something that suits and fits their agenda that is going to help them. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the game. Shout out to Delthea Simmons for the super chat. Voting without righteous things for which to vote isn't good citizenship. It's the perpetuation of regimes of injustice, ignorance, and blindness. Well said, Delthea. Thank you so much for that. Well said. So, am I going to give Jamal Bowman a pat on the back? Am I going to say, way to go? No. Again, this was all something that would benefit him, his party, his peeps. This is not something that's really going to help us the way that we think it would. And I wish more people would talk about this. I wish more people would explain what this bill is really about. Because if we want more voting freedom to be able to vote for some of these independent candidates, first and foremost, they should be able to be on the ballot in every state. We don't even have that. But go vote for Democrats. They're the lesser of two evils. How's that working out? How is that working out? Kat Terrell says, I call staged. I mean, it just looks, oh, my hair. Sorry. It just looked, I don't know, man. I just don't. So like I mentioned earlier, if you guys remember, Paula Jean Swearengin and Jackson Hinkle, and Nick Briahna was with them too, were arrested when they were protesting on the Capitol steps last year for housing for everybody. That was after the eviction moratorium. The squad was not arrested when they protested on those steps because they got permission to do so, permission from Congress to do so. So they're special. They're special, guys. But and now Jamal Bowman goes down. She's Black says these BLM orgs are pushing this bill, unfortunately. Yep. And like I said before, hi Andrew. Is that Michael Jackson from Wait, which music video was that? That's Michael Jackson. The Way You Make Me Feel. That's what that's from. Greetings. Okay, anyway, it's really unfortunate though, because if you're just watching mainstream media, and I've seen it, guys, so I hear the narrative that they're saying about this bill. If you just watch mainstream media, you have Al Sharpton on there telling you we need to give Black people voting rights. We need to stop the voter suppression. If that's all that you're watching and you don't actually Google this bill and see what's in it, or you're not watching independent media, it is really easy to be swayed by that narrative, especially if you're Black. Really easy. If you were one of the people in Atlanta last year, actually the year before last now, in 2020, and you were standing in line for hours, 10 hours, a friend of mine said the line was 10 hours. It was a 10-hour wait in a Black neighborhood. And you see Al Sharpton on TV, on CNN, on MSNBC, it's very easy to be swayed by that narrative. Most people are not going to look up this bill. Most people won't. And I say that as someone who was on the debate team. I was on the debate team in high school, so we had to learn how to actually write bills. I know I'm a nerd. I'm weird. And one of the things I learned is that most people don't know what a bill actually looks like or how bills work. So we have to educate people first. We have to educate them. We have to make people aware. And honestly, some people don't have time to sit there and read all of that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you're working 2 jobs, you're a single parent, do you really have time to sit there and read an entire bill? No. So then what do? You rely on the media to give you the information about what the bill's about. You rely on CNN, you rely on MSNBC, and you can rely on Fox News to tear it down. So I think it's just really important that those of us who are a part of independent media, we continue to preach this message. And for people who are viewers, you continue to spread this message to other people. That's the only way we're going to make people aware. People ask me why I put so many of my clips on all these different platforms, because I want to educate people to make them aware of what is really going on. It's really sad, but people don't know the truth. Most people don't, you guys. Lucky Burrito said it's just a fundraiser. Delthea Simmons said the Dems want you to vote for Dems and then make no demands. Just vote for them and shut the hell up. Just vote for them and sit the hell down. Exactly. You guys saw how Joe Biden was able to go speak at HBCUs last week in Atlanta after he lied to them about canceling their student loans. The pride. The pride. Really? Come vote for me again. Oh, God, I can't. Latif, aka Khaleesi's Dragon, says, fire up the jets and get the whistles. Here you go. Impossibly Black said, once again, using Black people to promote an agenda that will benefit Black people the least. Well said. What else can I say? It's true. And Al Sharpton is usually that person. Am I wrong? Every time, listen, if something is going down and it involves the Black community, Al Sharpton is present. I don't know how he gets to all these places this quickly. Like literally 1 minute, he'll be in Chicago. Then you'll turn on the news the next day and he's down in Atlanta for something that happened there. I don't know. Maybe he teleports. I think I missed, oh, wow. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Green Bob. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. Green Bob. I'm silly tonight, you guys. I'm so silly tonight. It's been a long ass week. So yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to educate people. It's part of my background, guys. That's where I come from. Okay. I'm going to move on to my second story. And this involves an interview with Jordan Sheraton and Briahna Joy Gray. Why didn't I just say Brie? This is really interesting, you guys. And the reason why I say this is because there's kind of like two parts to this video, but it's all one like video, but there's two different discussions happening here, but they're connected. One part is about what TYT what used to be, like that network umbrella. I talked about that on RBN with JB last night, so I'm not going to touch on that segment. I am going to touch on the segment about YouTube suppression for independent media, because there are things that they say here that I definitely identify with. And so I'm going to play this clip and then I'm going to show you guys, brace yourself. I'm going to show you guys my YouTube analytics. And I've never done that on this show. What you see may be scary. Be brave, but also be very afraid. I'm just exaggerating. But I'm going to show you what they are talking about. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like on my end. And then you'll be able to see and make the connection why people are either not being found, why people, their views are the way that they are. And this is why I always tell people, if you're new to this channel, please put in the comment section how you found me. And the reason why I ask people to do that is because I actually have a little spreadsheet where I've taken those answers and I've put them in a spreadsheet, tallied them up, all that Excel fun stuff that people like to do. And there's something that I've noticed. I'll tell you guys after. There's something I've noticed, but I want to play this video first. Sharing my screen. Okay, and it should be, yes, it's the very beginning that this conversation takes place. So, let me mute my mic.
Recently on our own YouTube videos, on the Bad Faith videos, which is that, you know, it puts the top performing videos in a column on the YouTube page. A disproportionate number of those 10 videos or so that are displayed make reference to the squad or AOC. Now, we don't talk about the squad and AOC so often, so that if I see those names, you know, overrepresented among those videos, to me, that's crazy. That means like out of, 20 videos in the last year that might reference them, like half of them have made the top roster, which says something to me really perverse about what the algorithm is doing and then the kind of incentives that are created because that algorithm exists. And I was observing recently, to the extent that these algorithm changes were made by YouTube in order to drive people toward, so-called approved content from, corporate creators, mainstream media. In some ways, it feels like they've exacerbated the incentives to talk about the things that drive clicks, like more radical out there, perhaps disinformation-y type things, because they won't just let independent media compete on the basis of genuine broad interest. Tell me, for those people who don't know a lot about status quo and the founding of it, how long have you been doing this and how have things changed over time?
Thank you. This is like my therapy session.
I just want to comment in here for a second. What Bree said is 100% true. And after this clip, I'm going to show you what that looks like on my end. It is 100% true. I have noticed my more serious subject videos do not get as many views. They don't tend to appear as much in the homepage of YouTube. And there are ways that you can see like how people found your video. For example, it will show you if it was through this percentage of people found you through YouTube search, this many people found you through Google suggested video. That's a big one. That's a really big one. And what I noticed is that a lot of the videos that I have where I talk about more pressing matters, especially the racial videos, those videos are rarely found via suggested video. And so one of the things I learned, and I can get more into that a little bit later on, but one of the things that I learned is that YouTube algorithm is also racist, because YouTube algorithm seems to suppress words like black, race, policing, like things that I talk about, right? But at the same time, the more I guess takedown videos, or like debate me bro, or so and so gets destroyed, like those kind of videos get a lot of clicks, a lot of views, and they tend to be, the percentage for those videos tends to be higher under suggested video. I can get into more of that in a minute, but I'll go ahead and let Jordan talk about how status quo is suppressed.
So, for those that don't know, in 2016 and 2017, I was at the Young Turks. This was before YouTube changed its algorithm. So back in those days, it feels like, 20 years ago, but it was like 5 or 6. Like everybody could rise or fall based on the merits. And I was basically doing this for my own channel at the Young Turks, and we were growing like gangbusters. We grew 140,000 subscribers in less than a year.
Wow.
Part of it was the Bernie campaign of 2016, but it was also being at Standing Rock, going to Flint, and these kind of stories. People loved it then, but unfortunately, timing wise, when we launched this in 2018, this was after YouTube had changed its algorithm. And not to, the bottom line is, when we use the term algorithm and this and that, YouTube has basically rigged its system to not only prop up, like Wolf Blitzer used to get a couple thousand views, right? Now he's getting hundreds of thousands of views. People suddenly love Wolf Blitzer. No, people's feeds are getting
Who
stuffed.
the hell is Wolf Blitzer?
Who the hell is Wolf?
If you look at the news section for trending on YouTube, it's Washington Post channel, it's CNBC, it's mainstream outlets. I think Crystal Ball, even herself, has said, being on the Hill for those first 2 years, we had a major advantage. Not that they're not great. I really enjoy them, but we had a major advantage because we were basically on like the corporate algorithm.
Yeah.
Status quo. I'm doing the same exact stuff, only probably more of it that I did at the Young Turks pre adpocalypse, pre algorithm switch. Literally, we're being, I don't want to be dramatic. We're being throttled. Kyle Kalinske has said Status Quo is the most throttled channel on YouTube. Topics.
I agree. Like Status Quo is heavily suppressed. And I know this from experience, because it used to be that when I was looking for like leftist commentary, like if I typed in Bernie Sanders, it used to be like the leftist independent commentary that would appear. That doesn't appear anymore. What appears is CNN, Fox News. That didn't used to happen. And so Status Quo, like they have a lot of subscribers. I think it's like over 100,000 subscribers. I think it's still over 100,000 subscribers. I have to double check, but they have a lot of subscribers, and there's no reason why, if you search Bernie Sanders, or if you search like, the case that was going on in Flint with the dirty water. So they were heavily on the ground for that. There's no reason why they should not appear, but they don't. You can even do a little test where you can type in the exact title of their video and it doesn't appear. And so they are like heavily suppressed. But I will argue that the newer, smaller lefty commentary channels are even more suppressed. And I know that from personal experience. For example, those of us that came out within like, I don't know, maybe the last 2 years, right? So like me, RBN, Frank Analysis. By the way, Frank Analysis is heavily suppressed. I know this because I started watching Franco last year and I saw how his channel was growing. And then immediately after January last year, it wasn't even coming up as a suggested like channel anymore. And I'm subscribed. So I knew, look, YouTube is YouTube. Actually the whole MCSC network, like they're suppressed, but they've been around longer than 2 years. But those of us that started in the past 2 years, Jackson Hinkle, Vanguard, actually Vanguard has kind of found a way around this a little bit, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But someone who has a channel like Jackson Hinkle, if this was like 3 years ago, Jackson Hinkle will probably have 100,000 subscribers right now. That's how I know they're being suppressed. But the newer ones that came out within the past 2 years, we are even more suppressed than Status Quo is, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Most of the time, that's why I told people, most of the time you can't find me. That's why I'd be like, let me know how you found me. But this is why you see us always put our clips and stuff on Twitter and on Facebook, all these other, because a lot of times it was those external like postings that let people know that we had a channel and we were here. But yeah, I'll go back in. I'm sorry.
It's like Flint. People don't see it. Topics I go to cover the Amazon Union Drive at the Staten Island warehouse. I've been there many times. People don't see it. I was on the front lines of the John Deere picket lines in October and November. People don't see it. And it's really frustrating because I know that, yeah, people like kind of, horse race stuff and, sometimes a little less serious stuff. But I know when people see the reporting, they generally like it. I've seen a big bump in people subscribing and signing up for memberships when they see it. The problem is, like you said, YouTube is really propping up reactionary stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube is really propping up like interpersonal stuff and basically kind of shock jock stuff.
Yeah. Anger, resentment.
Yeah. And they're
debate,
burying
conflict.
and they're burying actual journalism. And I wish I could figure out the formula right now. My best bet, which is I really appreciate you having me on, is getting on channels that are doing a lot better than Status Quo. Because I've seen, like, for example, Kyle and Crystal had me on their podcast a few months ago, and we went up 2,000 YouTube subscribers in a day. And you start seeing comments from people, Jordan, you're back. Like I'm talking viewers from who watched me at the Young Turks 5 years ago who have never seen Status Quo in their feed. So that's the kind of suppression I've been dealing with. And putting aside Status Quo for a second, like everybody should care about this because at the end of the day, you're already the few independent journalists that go on the ground and like investigate things. You're already at a disadvantage because corporate media is going to bury it. But if then big tech is going to bury it, that's a problem in terms of getting truth out there on the ground. I think it's really important to hear from real people on the ground, whether it's union drives or worker strikes or the Flint water crisis. So it's really important, I think, that people see that and hear that. I'm going to keep trucking along as long as I can. And hopefully, people can subscribe to Status Quo.
Well, I'm curious. I want you to explain, in the short term, what is helpful to you personally. Is there a Patreon? How can people donate?
Okay, let me comment on some of the things that Jordan said because he said some things that I think are really important for people to know. Collaborating, that is a big one. One of the things you guys probably have noticed with a lot of us with the smaller channels, you guys notice we collaborate a lot. That really helps. Like you may see Vanguard here, I'm on there. Like I think so many people from the smaller channels have been on RBN at one point or another. The General Strike Summit that we did on RBN, that brought a lot of people, that brought a lot of people over. Like we were getting like 100 subs like each day. It was 3 days. No, we got more than 100. We got a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but I just saw that the subs was just going up during General Strike Summit, right? So we collaborate a lot. KRTD Media did a solution summit last summer, bringing on different people from smaller channels. That is one thing that can help in reference to the algorithm because that can introduce you to other audiences. I think Lawrence, and you can correct me on this, Lawrence, if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong, but I think Lawrence found me on Hardlands Media. So at some point, actually a couple times, I went on Hardlands Media. Some people saw me there and said, oh, I didn't know about this channel. So collaborating is very important. And that being said, I think that if you are coming into this space now, like you're going to have a very difficult time. And that is not to discourage you from doing it. It will be very difficult if you do not collaborate with people. I'm just being honest with you. Or if you went on to one of the larger channels, then more people would know about you. But that doesn't happen that much, to be honest. I'm just going to be honest with you. You guys can see this for yourself. That doesn't happen that much. Usually the larger channels hang out with larger channels. Like usually when they bring on people, it's people who are already large, not people who are smaller channels. Whereas those of us with the smaller channels, we collaborate a lot, right? That's one thing that can help. One thing that wasn't said, or maybe it's said on the Patreon version, I'm not sure. But one thing that is important to note, live streams. Now, this is something I found out along the way. When I first started my show, I didn't do live streams. I did uploads only. That wasn't a good idea at that point in time, because it used to be that was what worked for the algorithm. These 7-minute, 8-minute, 10-minute uploaded videos that are quick, straight to the point, and that's it, right? The algorithm changed. So now the algorithm is more likely to push out the live stream videos that are longer, an hour, 2 hour. Why do you guys think sometimes you see us talking for like 3 hours, right? That's what works for the algorithm right now. Those little short snippy videos don't work for the algorithm anymore unless you already had a large platform to begin with. So if you were like a Jimmy, or you were like, oh, that's a bad example, David Pakman. I was about to say David Pakman. I'm sorry, you guys. I almost went there. Or if you were like, what do you call it? Breaking Points, or if you were like Secular Talk, well, they already had a large audience. So they can continue to do like the smaller clips, even though Jimmy does go live, they can continue to do those short, small clips because they already had the people. If you're just starting out and you don't have the people, you better go live, hun. You need to go live. You need to go live. I'm serious. That's what works for the algorithm, right? Another thing that I think that is important to note is, and I've seen this a lot, the thumbnails. And I know that sounds like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. I took like an SEO class a while back, and one of the things that they found is that what is it that makes someone click onto a video? It's the thumbnail. They see the thumbnail first, and then they see the title. That's what they said, how most people look at these videos on YouTube. So the thumbnail is a big one. Having a thumbnail, I think that is engaging. Like my thumbnails have not all been great, but I found what works for me is to stick to the same format. And you guys will notice that about my thumbnails. For the most part, they don't really change. You know, if you see that bright yellow text and it's underlined, and you see me down at the bottom with my T, most people are going to know, if you know who I am, most people are going to know that's Sabby's channel. I stick to that. And I also, it helps, like if you're busy like me, you got a lot of things going on, it really helps when you're creating thumbnails too, because then you don't have to recreate something new. You have a template that you can work from, and you just boop, 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 plug in the pictures. So that's why I use the same format. I try to keep it as close as possible, because I don't want people to get confused and be like, oh, I didn't realize this was a Sabby video, because now I see like a bright green background, and Sabby usually has black background with bright yellow text. So that's why I do it that way. Now, thank you so much, Replicarian, for the super chat. I found Sabby via Steve Grumbine, Real Progressives. Thanks so much. Shout out to Real Progressives. Yeah. Steve that's the first time I've heard that one. So that'll be a new one in my spreadsheet. Wow. Horny Unicorn brought up a good point. Jackson is doing excellent work, particularly engaging younger viewers. Yes. And if you guys pay attention to how many times like he goes live a week, I know I go live a lot too, but how many times he goes live a week and he clips his live streams, that's what I'm telling you guys. If this was like 3 years ago, he would already be at 100,000 subscribers. This wouldn't even be a thing. Someone mentioned earlier too, I thought I saved it, but I didn't. Someone mentioned that Vanguard's been stuck at 23.5 for a couple of months. Yeah, I mean, that again, like I'm saying, if it was 3 years ago, that number would have continued going up. I also realized that we are not in an election cycle right now, so that's part of it too. But still, there were people that started when we were not in an election season, and they grew very quickly. And now, like I said, what you're going to see now is CNN, MSNBC, and YouTube. They are going to be suggested if you type in like those political topics instead of us. You would have to put in my name. So just something to think about. Now, I told you guys, thank you so much, Michael, for the tip on Rockfin. I was going to show you my YouTube analytics because I want to show you what this looks like. Going into the YouTube studio. You guys have these broken links, man. Not you. I'm talking to YouTube. Let me move this for a second. Doobie doobie doo. So, put this here. I don't know why that did not publish, but whatever. I don't have time for that right now. Okay. So on the back end, those of us that are creators, we have this thing called YouTube Studio. Will it still let me go in here if I'm live right now? You guys better. You better let me in there. I'm in. All right. Doop 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 doo. I'm gonna show you what Bree was talking about the top videos. So go to channel analytics, share my screen. Boop boop be doop. All right, to the window, to the wall. Here we are. Let me see if it'll let me zoom in, man. I don't know. I'm a little nervous, man. Okay, it is letting me zoom in. That wasn't what I wanted to do, though. I wanted to show you guys. There it is. Okay. These are my top videos. And this is the last 48 hours, okay? Now, this is what I want to show you. Look at the top videos. Crystal Ball versus Nina Turner. Guys, that video just came out the other day, and that's actually a clip from one of my live streams. In the past 48 hours, that is already the top video. Crystal Ball versus Nina Turner. After that is, should we primary Biden? Jink admits Democrats suck, and Kamala director busted. You guys noticing a trend? After that is Briahna Joy Gray talks suppress. Wait, how is this? Oh my God, you guys, I did not plan this. I did not plan this. Look at this. I'm not even finished the stream yet. In the top videos for the past 48 hours, this live stream is already my third top video in 48 hours. Do you guys notice something about the topics? Crystal Ball versus Nina Turner. Should we primary Biden? Jink Uger admits Dems suck. The Bree one wearing right now. Democrats push Hillary. See the thumbnail? Special announcement. That was not. I wanted to show you the top videos in 28 days. And see, this is something I can show you on the app, but for whatever reason, it won't let me change this from 48 hours to 28 days. And it didn't used to do that. Let me come back out of here. You punks. Let me go back. Okay. So anyway, notice it says here, views are higher than usual. 29 videos published, more than usual. So that's another thing. You have to constantly post. That's another thing with the algorithm. Oh, here we go. Got it. Top videos this period. By period, they mean the 28 days. See, on the app, it just says 28 days. I don't know why they do this here. So anyway, I'm going to make this a little bit. Okay, good. The number one video in the past 28 days, Chris Hedges warns Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball. 4,374 views. That's the top video I've had the past 28 days. And that again is a clip from a live stream. Let's see if that live stream is on here. New Year's Eve all day party. Out of all the videos I've done, that is the second top video for 28 days. TYT attacks force the vote. Guys, see what I'm saying? Tucker Carlson versus Ted Cruz. Andrew Yang slams Dems. After that, Crystal and Saga respond to Tucker Carlson, Kamala's cringe interview. What is BreadTube? What is BreadTube with Caleb Maupin has 3,062 views? Who's after Caleb? Yes, so I was right. That live stream about Chris Hedges warns Crystal and Kyle, that live stream is also one of my top videos for the past 28 days. So, Chris Hedges' message to Crystal and Kyle, AOC meltdown, Ethiopic conflict, that has 2,506 views. And then it gets to the ones that bring up Aaron Mate. So these go hand in hand. Aaron Mate joins Katie Halper. Bernie Sanders warns Democrats. Biden eyes voting rights. This one's a little bit different. This is one of the ones that does not fall in the same category as the others. And then, of course, interview with Aaron Mate. Basically, what they're doing, they are pushing out the topics that I don't want to say drama, because some of this is not drama, but they're pushing out the topics that are more, I don't know how to describe it. They're not pushing out the serious topics. They're not. I'm just being honest with you. They're pushing out the stuff that's like so-and-so versus so-and-so. So-and-so makes a cringe comment. That is what they're pushing out. If I had a title here that said, U.S. eyes war with China, that would not be a top video. It just wouldn't. They're not going to push that out. I saw what Indy just said. The names, that's a big one. They push the other names in your titles. This is heavily important. Heavily important. You guys see that? So this is something that I feel Vanguard figured out a while back. I know some people, don't like them doing that, but this is something they figured out a while back. But in reference to getting around the algorithm, it works better if you use names instead of using, I'll show you an old one. Let me come out of here. How did I get out of here? Oh, sorry. I'm looking on two different screens. That's why I'm like, how do I get out of here? I'm going to show you one that I have in the chat. I want to show you the difference. Now, this is Nico House. This is when Nico came on to interview. And what's interesting about this video, so this is a while back, you guys. You got to keep that in mind. This is Nico House. This was streamed. This was live. This was streamed June 9th, 2021. So that was a while back. And this has 971 views. And that was a pretty long stream, right? About an hour and a half, I think. Now, let me show you how they messed up. This is how I knew this is how I knew the game was rigged. Let me show you. Now, here is Nico again. This is the same interview, okay? If any of you, if you were back with me way back then, you know this is the exact same interview. There's Nico. There's me. This is a clip from that interview called Crystal, Kyle, Briahna, Emma, and Vosh, Diversity on the Left with Nico House interview. This has 4,097 views. It's the same interview. The only different is the names and the thumbnail, which is not going to let me show you that on here for some reason because I don't know what's happening. But do you guys see what I'm saying? It's the same interview. Not two different things. I'll show you what it looks like on the channel. And I'm not trying to bore you guys, I promise. I'm taking this somewhere, I promise. I do have a point. There's a point that I'm trying to make, I promise. All right. So I'll show you what this looks like on the channel. That was back in July. Man, that was a long time. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. Yes, it has. Okay, here we are. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you those two thumbnails. Now, my interview thumbnail, for the most part, has never really changed. I use the same format. So check this out. Put this up at the top. This video right here at the top, the thumbnail says diversity on the left. You can see the pictures of the people. Briahna Joy Gray, Emma Vigilant, Vosh. And then if you come over here, I hope you guys can see my cursor. Interview with Nico House. Like I said, my interview format has not changed. It's stayed the same. There's me and Nico. So yes, the thumbnails are different. Nico's name is in both of the titles, but it's the same interview. The only difference was the names. So I took a segment out, the one where we talked about diversity on the left, and that was a separate upload. So this is what I wanted you guys to see. And now I'm going to show you something else that I've also noticed. Because what Bree is saying is very true. I've also noticed that when it comes to racial issues, those videos are not pushed out in the algorithm for me. Let me show you. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I'm going to show you two examples. I did a video about the police commission. Now, this is the video where I talked about that report that was given to Joe Biden. It was a global committee that was put together, and they were asking Joe Biden to basically admit that police violence in the United States was a human rights issue. It's like a 200-page report. I'll get into that another time. But anyway, this video where me and Renee broke down that report step by step, because Renee made a summary of it on Substack. International Commission Inquiry on Systemic Racist Police Violence Against ADOS. That video has 190 views. It's a very educational video. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Most of the credit goes to Renee because she's the one that wrote the summary. But that's actually a really educational video. 190 views. That video was not pushed out into the algorithm. Now I'm going to show you another one, also about race. I don't know if I share my screen. Now this is when, God, this was a long time ago. This was an interview with Marianne Williamson about reparations. And look at the title. I even had reparations in the title. So obviously, the algorithm would know this is about race, right? This video had 5,277 views. Now, this was back in February of last year. I barely had 2,000 subscribers at that point. So what that again told me, the names. So Marianne Williamson is a public figure. So if I would have just kept reparations in this title, this video would have not received this many views. Not for me. Not for me. I'm just being honest with you guys. There's so much more I could show you guys, but I don't want to bore you. And some of you are probably like, okay, we don't need to see all this. But do you guys see the point that they're making? It's true. If I did a video about, what are the other, I've done some serious ones, like some deep ones. I've done a couple about policing. Those don't tend to do too well either. And which is interesting considering the time that those came out, because that was trending. So even though YouTube is telling me my channel's in good shape, I don't know, bud. I don't know. I'll show you guys the numbers, but there's no reason. Like, looking good, channels in good shape, audience. I'll even show you who you guys are. So every now and then I'll get big spikes. Sometimes not so much. It all depends. And here is something I want everyone to see. It's called videos that are growing your audience. Here we go again. Hi. Oh, I made it short for you guys. I don't like this other monitor. Why are you being like this? Is that big enough? Okay, there we go. These are videos that are growing your audience. Look at these videos, you guys. Cringe takes on the left. New viewers who return. Hi. That's the number one. Next is Aaron Mate, but they're still collecting evidence about, not evidence. That's bad. Don't tell Aaron that. They're still collecting data from that one, it says. So, but it says moderate. Chris Hedges warns, also moderate. Tulsi Gabbard cringe tweet, moderate. Jink Uger explodes on Kyle, moderate. Noam Chomsky interview reaction, moderate. So that just goes to show you again, cringe takes on the left. This is the one that is bringing people over. Out of all the videos I have made over the past year and a half, this is the one that brings people in. It's kind of sad. It kind of hurts my feelings because like some of these videos I've done a lot of work, like a lot of research for, especially like these educational conversations. And what brings people over is cringe takes on the left. It can also show you other channels your audience watches. Jimmy Dore, Jackson Hinkle, Breaking Points, Bad Faith, Katie Halper. So, all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, when we tell you guys about the suppression, it's real. It's real. They want me to talk about chocolate chip versus Oreo. They want me to talk about like freaking Baskin Robbins versus, I don't know, give me another ice cream band, Hood ice cream. I don't, that's what they want me to talk about. That's what they want us to talk about. I like to mix it up, have some in-depth, deep conversations too, you know? But it kind of sucks to see that like even those deep conversations is not what's bringing people over to my channel. And that's telling me that YouTube is pushing out these videos where it's like the cringe take videos. But it is what it is. I think I got all of them. So yeah, there's just times like I spent a lot of time like working on those things and it just, YouTube doesn't push it out. This is too serious of a topic. You're talking about imperialism. We are not going to push this out. Things like that. Those videos would get flagged immediately. That's why another catch is I mix it in with other things. That's another thing that people can do. Like you guys notice I might have a non-serious topic, a serious topic, and a non-serious topic. Because if I do a stream just of the serious topic, nah, that would not fly. That would not fly. Yeah, Robin's right. The algorithm pushes clickbait and then demonetize. There you go. There you go. I mean, I like you guys, but why do you guys think this? Why do you guys think I stream so much? Because that's what works for the algorithm. I do like talking to you guys though, for real. Like doing uploads is kind of weird. Like it's not the same. So yeah, man. I'm going on to my third story. Indie Left says you're being suppressed hard. Yeah, bud. A kid had a good point here. Sabby, please consider Status Quo and Jordan are truly to be respected for their reporting. I wish Jordan would have realized much sooner how AOC, Bernie, Fraud Squad, Nina Turner were all playing us. Thanks so much for that, a kid. Yeah, I mean, guys, that's hard work. Like when I studied broadcast journalism in undergrad, that's where we started. We started on the ground. And it's hard. Like you have to learn how to carry those heavy cameras. Those cameras are heavy. They're heavy. Sabby, the reason I proposed RBN to have a college-like tour to promote policies and information is due to the YouTube Ooh. RBN's message is so honest, it truly touches the listeners. That is a really good idea, a kid. That's a really good idea. You guys think we should do a college tour? I can just ask everyone to come to Boston. We got like 50 freaking colleges here. Just come to Boston. Just come here. Just come here. We go to all the colleges in Boston. I'll take you around. Come meet me here. We'll have some fun. Oh man. Thanks to Debate Me channel for the super chat. YouTube pushes out topics that drive engagement because that is how they get paid. Ooh. It's the viewers driving the algo. Popular names and spicy topics drive engagement, so they push it. YouTube is entertainment. That's a good point. Good point, Debate Me channel. Thank you so much for the super chat. Speaking of excuse me, hold on. Speaking of I'm still kind of getting over the cold, you guys. Speaking of spicy, Marianne Williamson was on Andrew Yang's show. Andrew Yang has his own podcast. It's called Forward with Andrew Yang. And the topic of third parties and Bernie Sanders, all that came back to light. And there's something said here that I really think everyone should pay attention to. And this is a question I was asking myself as well in reference to what Bernie could have done even after he suspended his campaign. So I want you guys to hear what Marianne has to say. By the way, Marianne Williamson is probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met. She's really, some people say they care, and then there are people who really care. She's one of those people who really cares. That's the difference. Marcus Page, what's up? I know the feeling. My top video is British people guessing American healthcare prices. Oh, that's funny, Marcus. I'd have to see that. That's funny. Yeah, no, it's true, man. It's true. Steve, thanks for the super chat. Yes, do a tour and live stream it. It would be a smash hit. You guys keep giving me like great ideas. And if this happens, if I'm able to do this, like I have to give you guys credit. Cause like this is like I never would have thought about doing that. And I used to work at the universities. But that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Steve, for the super chat. All right, let's go talk about Marianne and the Yang. So here's that discussion. Boop, boop, doop. All right, guys, here we go.
To obstruct any chance of universal health care. On that, we are not divided. They divide us. Right now, they're making clear that their two main choices, they, meaning the elite establishment within the Democratic Party, they are clearly in love with Pete and Amy, right? My analysis of how the elite Democrats would act towards a real progressive running is exactly as yours. But I've heard a lot of people talk about how Bernie didn't have to acquiesce. And Bernie could have made it clear that if you treat me that way, one of the moments in the Republican stage, which was very interesting, if you remember, they said to Trump early in the process on the stage, do you promise that if you do not win the nomination, that you will support the Republican candidate? Do you remember his answer? His answer was, it depends on how you guys treat me. You look back at that and think that's exactly what the answer should be. So if I was someone doing that, that would be my answer. It depends on how you guys treat me. Political parties are not even mentioned in the Constitution. George Washington warned us against them in his farewell address. John Adams said that they represented the greatest threat to democracy. This idea that they get to be the gatekeepers they are, when in court, the Democratic Party argued that they don't owe it to people to let the person who got the most votes win. We have to call the duopolistic system on what it is. And let's remember, the duopoly is actually a monopoly. You know, we talk like how divided we are. They are not all that divided, because the bottom line is the military industrial complex will get what they want. On that, we are not divided. Oil companies, more than not, will continue to do what they want to do. On that, we are not divided. Big pharmaceutical companies will continue to obstruct any chance of universal health care. On that, we are not divided. They divide us so that we don't recognize how undivided they are in some very essential ways.
If you accept this is the set of issues, and then you say option one, run as progressive.
I just want to chime in here for a second and say that one of my disappointments with Bernie Sanders is that I feel like he really didn't have like the guts towards the end. He told us to fight, but when it came time for him to suspend his campaign, he just stopped fighting. And all of a sudden it was, okay, I'm going to back up Biden. Like, yes, you got to vote for Biden so we can get Trump out. Whereas I felt like Bernie Sanders should have still continued that message. And some people say, well, no, because we were in a pandemic. And I'm like, no, especially because we were in a pandemic, because people were losing their jobs left and right. Joe Biden wasn't really trying to offer anything in reference to that. So I felt like that is one thing I will say. Towards the end there, I felt like Bernie should have just said, no, I'm not going to endorse Joe Biden. And I felt like he caved. He just gave in. I felt the same thing with 2016. I felt like Bernie really did not have to support Hillary Clinton. He didn't have to go around this country to try to help get her elected just for her to complain years later that he's the reason and Russia is the reason why she lost. That's not something that Bernie Sanders had to do. The way the DNC screwed him over in 2016, I felt like Bernie should have said F the DNC. And then they came back and screwed him over again in 2020. I felt like Bernie Sanders should have spoken out about that. He did not. So those are areas where I felt like Bernie, he was not strong in the end. He was strong throughout the process, throughout the campaign. But once it got to the end, I felt like he just threw in the towel and that strength was not there.
In the Democratic primary and transform the party.
And don't pretend that the Democratic Party is any different than it is, that you make part of your campaign to point out that the Democratic Party, as Bernie Sanders has been saying, has strayed from its traditional role of true champion of the working people of the United States. If it continues to be this basically corporatist machinery, it will not have a chance to beat Donald Trump.
Have you seen some of the commentary that Bernie should have started a third party? I guess people are suggesting
that's what people are saying. People are saying he shouldn't have stopped. That when they suppressed him both times, he should say, well, I'm keeping on walking because I'm running for president and I'm not going to be stopped. I'm supported by the American people. This isn't about whether or not the Democratic Party is giving me permission.
I mean, he's not even a Democrat technically.
So why should he
there's nothing stopping him from doing it. If you think about people
100%. Now, I know I don't agree with Andrew Yang on a lot of things, but he has a point there when he mentions that Bernie Sanders isn't even a Democrat. Right. So again, that was one of those things I felt like, yes, he should have started another party. He had the name recognition. If you didn't know who Bernie Sanders was before 2020, come 2020, you did. Bernie was the most popular candidate. Now, of course, mainstream media didn't want to tell you that, but he was the most popular candidate that was running. And I felt like with his name recognition and his popularity, guys, when he came to Boston, it was over 10,000 people when we went to see him. Over 10,000 people at his rally. So could you imagine if he started another party, the numbers of people that he would have had to join that party? But no, he just caved. Greg said, unfortunately, Bernie really is a loyal Democrat. Oh, Greg.
That could have started a successful third party over this recent number of years, Bernie's at the top of the list.
Oh, absolutely. And many people's frustration with him is that he didn't just keep walking. That's not criticism, it's just, as I said, frustration. The question I think people have for you is, number one, whether you'll be able to garner enough money to really make the difference that you'd like to make. Number two, whether or not there will be enough diversity. You know what third parties have done, and that's part of the problem, even calling it a third party. What they've done traditionally is that they've just kind of anointed a candidate. My hope for the Forward Party would be that you'd have a lot of really good people running, including for president. So that, a friend of mine was saying the other day, if the Forward Party gets a lot of really good people from diverse political places running, their debate will be the more interesting one that people will want to watch in 2024. Because if the president runs again, I think if there is even a debate at that point, but the Democratic Party has become so yada, yada, yada. I think of the Republican Party as representing a nosedive for our democracy. And I think of the Democratic Party as representing a managed decline for our democracy. And neither one of them, they represent such a solid status quo. It is not going to interrupt itself. This is going to take an intervention by the American people.
I like the idea of rejuvenation. And I also love the idea of having an independent nomination process for the Forward Party where anyone can participate. And you can imagine that primary being fascinating because
you'll have hundreds of people running, if not more.
Well, there'd be so many people too that would realize that they'd get a fair shake outside of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. So the Republican Party, just a quick, like a synopsis of how that's going to go down. So you'll have Trump running. He'll be running against generally some second tier types who feel they have no choice but to run against Trump and hope something breaks their way. So it's going to be Mike Pence, maybe Mike Pompeo, Chris Christie,
Nikki Haley.
I think Nikki Haley's already publicly said she doesn't run against Trump.
Nikki Haley. Oh my God. Guys, when I lived in South Carolina, that was when Nikki Haley first gained office statewide in South Carolina. And do you know, they smeared her so bad. There was a guy, I have to look up his name. I can't remember. I apologize. But there was a guy who was one of the Republicans. And do you know, after she won, he said, we already have a towel head in the White House. We don't need one in the State House. I kid you not. That's what he said about Nikki Haley. The same Nikki Haley who complained about dealing with racism growing up, because Nikki Haley is Sikh. For people who don't know that, I don't know if everyone realizes that Nikki Haley is Sikh, right? And so she complained about that, about racism growing up. And then when Trump became president, the same Nikki Haley said that racism wasn't real. See how people forget? I don't.
So she's taking herself out if Trump is there. Ron DeSantis has privately said he will not run against Trump if Trump is there. So that's one reason I'm saying that
either one of those could be his VP candidate.
That's part of it. And so they're also on the younger side. They're like, yeah, I'll sit out one cycle and then just come back around. Whereas if they go against Trump, then it could be a career destroyer because a lot of the base of the Republican Party could turn on them in a lasting way. So that's one reason why Trump's opposition will likely be the relatively less strong candidates. The strongest candidate that seems poised to run against him, in my opinion, is Larry Hogan of Maryland, who's termed out.
No, because he would be more the, Youngkin, yeah.
Let's say you were an independent human who wanted to run for president. If you try to insert yourself into the Republican primary, you're not going to get a real shot, given that Trump will be taking up all the oxygen. There'll be some other figures.
So yeah, interesting conversation. I'm glad other people are saying this too, man, because sometimes I feel like it's just those of us on the left that most people don't know that's been saying that, like, yo, man, screw this two-party system. It is not working. We tried with the squad. We tried multiple times. I believed Obama, we tried with Bernie, so it's time to do something else. And that's why I say, blah, 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 blah. That's why I say to people, I have not had that much to drink. I promise. See, that's why I say to people that, like, if you are going to vote, I recommend that you vote third party or you vote independent, because going into this two-party system, nothing is going to change. Thought we had a chance with that with the squad, but we see how that turned out. So I think it's a good point. I don't know what's going to happen with Andrew Yang's forward party. Like, I don't know if this is going to be like a legitimate thing. I don't know what is it about, right? So I haven't heard him talk more about that. But sometimes, like, when I look at Andrew Yang, I see a businessman. I don't see a politician, even though he's run for president and he ran for mayor. When I look at him, I see a businessman. And what does that mean? Sometimes businessmen can have this mindset where they come up with a lot of cool ideas, right? They'll come up with these creative, cool, funky, quirky ideas, but sometimes they don't sit back and think like how it would work in practice, or if it would work in practice. It happens, right? So that's kind of how I see Andrew Yang sometimes. I feel like Andrew Yang comes up with all these different ideas. Hey, let's do this. Hey, what about this idea? But doesn't really, sometimes stop and think like, wait, in practice, would this work? Sounds good in theory, but would it really work? So I don't know about that. I know the Green Party has its issues. I think that the Green Party needs a complete overhaul. I think they need new leadership. They need a new marketing team, one that actually markets. They need a new communications director, one that actually does communications. I think they need some help in those areas. And I think they need to pick candidates that are more well-known. And I'm not trying to be, not nothing for nothing, but they went from Dr. Jill Stein to Howie Hawkins. I'm just saying, like, I didn't think Howie Hawkins was a great choice. Could have had Jesse Ventura. Everybody knows him for the most part. So, I'm not sure about them. Moving for a People's Party is up and running. I did see the other day that they just got ballot access in Virginia. MPP has. So they are on the move. But honestly, I want people to seriously think about this come 2020, actually this year, 2022 and 2024, because there are people that are running third party and independent that are running in local elections too. There are people running third party independent that are running for Congress as well. So let's not just think about this in terms of the presidency. Let's think about this in reference to all offices, all of these positions that we have in the United States, the local level, the state level, the city level, the state level, and then further up. But I've had a couple of third party candidates come on here. Delilah, balls. Princess Blanding came on here. Unfortunately, I wish I knew about Princess Blanding like before she made the viral video. And then we could have probably gotten the word out to even more people beforehand that she was running for governor of Virginia. She had a better platform. She was not promoted by, people on the left. She was not promoted the way that she should have been. And I look back at that one and I'm like, man, I really wish they would have talked to her, not just me. I think Ryan Knight did too. Yes, Ryan did too. I have to double check. But we need more people to promote them and to get their name out there. I think that's really important. One thing I do recommend, and if you are a third party candidate or independent candidate and you're thinking about, or you're thinking about running as third party independent, I highly recommend that you start a podcast. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes at the end of the day, like, I have no problem promoting like third party independent. I told you guys, like, I was going to focus on promoting those people and not progressives running through the party anymore. I stopped doing that a long time ago. But I have no problem doing that, obviously. But at the same time, if you had a podcast of your own, what you could do is you could build up your audience with your podcast talk about these political issues, and then say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about running. That way you already have support. And some people do that. There's people who have done that. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know I am not doing that. That is not me. I'm not running for office. But it's just an idea, just a suggestion. Just saying. Going to some of the comments, and then I am going to head out. Thanks for the super chat, Delthea Simmons. Bernie has the best ideas of all the most media covered politicians, but Bernie wants to be liked. And you can't be a change agent and be liked. Ouch. I like that for a t-shirt, Delthea. You can't be a change agent and be liked. I like that. Thanks so much for the super chat. All right, going through the comments here. Derek, remember when Marianne was against pulling out of Afghanistan? I wish she didn't care. I wish she didn't care about that part. Yeah, I remember that. I also remember she was on Twitter after that, and she did apologize for that statement, that she misunderstood or it was explained to her differently. I do remember that. Debate Me Channel says Marianne says the right things, but her solution is vote more Dems. Nope. That's not what I've been hearing from her recently, though. I haven't been hearing from her to vote more Dems. I think her opinion is starting to change on that. Defund the Empire, thanks so much for the super chat. Your message breaks the establishment narrative. They must remain in control, but the truth will proliferate regardless of their efforts to squash. Thank you so much, Defund the Empire. I appreciate that. Shout out to Kyle for the super chat, for the tour. You guys have really like inspired me, man. I'm serious. Like, you've really like inspired me. I'm thinking about this. Like, this is deep. This is deep. I'm thinking about it. I'll keep you posted. Let me get through the Women's Summit first. Shout out to Debate Me Channel for the super chat. Marianne seems like the next Bernie. Says right things, then her solution is vote harder. Nope. Hashtag vote blue no matter who. I don't know. Again, like from what I've heard from her recently, I know Bree talked to her as well. She doesn't seem to be saying that this time around. Recycle for the Reef. I saw Nick on Jimmy Dore, went to FHL, then subbed you here. Oh, thanks so much. Awesome. So that's how you found me. Thanks a lot. Moist Faction says Sabby Sabs, Jackson Hinkle will be debating Sam Cedar on January 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the squad. Okay, so this will be a test because if I remember correctly, I think Jackson Hinkle said this is going to be streamed on his channel and on Majority Report. So this is going to be a big test. Because if this is on his channel and Majority Report and his numbers don't seriously jump up, we know what's up. We know what's up. Thanks for the reminder. .com said Chris Hedges talked to Sanders about running in a third party. Hedges talks about it in a few interviews. I'll have to check that out, .com. Thank you so much. Don't tell the house slaves. Hedges and West said that Bernie missed his moment when he didn't break with the Dems. I agree. He didn't want to go the way of Ralph Nader. Thanks so much for the super chat, Krona Ursa. Bottom up, get power at the local level to take over federal. A good example of that is Shama Sawant. And that's why I tell people, like, imagine if everyone on the squad was like Shama Sawant. Thank you for that. And Robin says last November was the first time in my life I did not vote. There was literally no one worth voting for on my ballot. Oh, Robin. Yeah, man. Delthea Simmons is a member now for 6 months. Whoop, whoop. Sabby talking truth about the Green Party. Remember, you need to do business type things in a business manner. Hire a whole new marketing team. Just hire a whole new marketing team. I see no flyer from you. I see none of that. Like, come on, do something. Do something. Fix the website. Let me stop. I'm being cruel. I'm being cruel. That's just bad. That's bad. Thanks so much for the super sticker, Ruben Lopez. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Ethnic Women's Liberation Panel is back. Join me and all my wonderful panel friends. This should be a fun time. Thanks so much for the super chat, Red Precarian, Cornell West / Chris Hedges 2024. That's what that's what I said to Aaron Mate. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if Cornell West was our third party candidate? It has to be someone who is popular, liked, and someone who is liked by different generations. And Cornell West is liked by the older generation and the younger generation. Thanks for the super chat, Andrew. Andrew. Hey, what's up? Do you have an opinion of Wu yet? Not yet. I have to think about it. Do you, Andrew? Thanks so much for the super chat, Steve. On the tour, you guys could field questions from the students. It would be huge. Huge. I'm telling you, this is a really great idea. You guys come up with like good ideas. What was I talking about? Oh, so yes, Sunday, 7 p.m. Ethnic Women's Liberation Panel is back. Come join us. Margaret Kimberly won't be on this one. She has other, things she has to do, but it's going to be great. We're talking about intersectionality. We're going to talk about Kimberly Crenshaw, who actually coined the term intersectionality. I'm going to explain to you what intersectionality actually means, because I don't think a lot of people understand what it really means, and they're misusing it in ways that it shouldn't be used. And then we're going to talk about our experiences with intersectionality. Wednesday, the Funky Academic will be here, IRME. We are going to have a discussion about class and race, and whether or not we can solve the class issue and the race issue at the same time. Or is it possible that you cannot solve the class issue because the race issue always gets in the way? That should be an interesting discussion. So don't miss that on Wednesday. He will be here. Other than that, you guys, it is time for me to head out. I am a little tired. I don't know does Jackson stream tonight? It's Friday. Because usually what will happen is I'll get off here and then I'll chill for a bit, and then I'll see that he's live and I'm like, oh, I guess I'll watch this. So I don't really know. So if not, I don't know what I'm going to watch. I could watch the next episode of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett on Disney. I don't know if you guys have Disney Plus, but the Book of Boba Fett, I think I'm like one episode behind. I'll have to check. I might be 2 episodes behind now. Crap. Now I gotta catch up. By the way, in reference of things that you should start watching that I highly recommend, if you guys have not seen Hawkeye on Disney Plus, you definitely have to watch it. It's really good. I've liked all the Marvel shows so far that have been on Disney Plus. So yeah, I think I'm going to start suggesting a TV show that you should watch, because people ask me that, what should I watch next? So yeah, definitely check that out. If you don't like Marvel and you're not into superheroes, or you don't have Disney Plus, and a lot of us do have Netflix, definitely check out, what was I watching recently? Balls, I forgot. Oh, Cowboy Bebop live action. I did like that. Unfortunately, it already got canceled, so that sucks. Oh, that's anime, so you guys may not be into that either. What was I watching recently on Netflix? And I was like, wow, this is really good. Oh, this movie on Netflix. It is with Kevin Hart. Yes. Okay. It's called True Story. Yes. True Story. I'll show you guys the thing. So it actually isn't a movie. I'm sorry. It's a show. I thought it was going to be a movie, but it's not. But anyway, it's a show. And I'll share my screen. It's really good, you guys. Like, my husband and I could not stop watching it. I'm serious. These are all the people in the movie. True story. It's Kevin Hart, Wesley Snipes, Billy Zane. You guys remember Billy Zane? It's like old school. Theo Rossi, he was actually in the Luke Cage Marvel show on Netflix. Ash Santos, Paul Idelstein, I've seen him in a lot of things. Tawny Newsome, there's more stories, more people, but this is the yeah, I'm telling you guys, this is the show. All I'm going to tell you is every time I thought I knew what was going on, I did not know what was going on. True story. Check that one out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's what you should check out this weekend if you're looking for something to watch. So yeah. All right, guys. I said I was going to go like a couple minutes ago and I'm still here, but you know how we do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.